I've been coming here, as Arda said, for quite a little while, and I really have a lot to thank to this event for our success in Turkey. When we came to Turkey first time, I didn't really understand how you guys are really engaged with marketing, with social marketing, but we quickly understood that that's the case. So thank you for that. I suggest that, I know it's late, guys, and I suggest you all take out your, because this is going to be a ride of data, as I would call it. So take out your pencils, pens, notebooks, because this is going to be a ride. I've got 15 minutes for something that I usually would take 35 minutes to deliver in data, so this is going to be quick. But first, just to introduce, who here knows Socialbakers? Wow, pretty much everybody. Okay, good. It's a good encouragement to our colleagues. For those of you who don't, I'm Rezab, CEO of Socialbakers. We run a very nice Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube statistics site and service. And if you don't know it, check out the site. That's how it used to look like when I first presented at Abrazzi. Amazing time, really. And this is how it looks like today. We've gone from a company with 4 co-founders to 150 people almost now. We've gone from 0 clients to almost 1,000 clients. We will break that barrier this month, hopefully also to Turkey. And we really love Turkey as Socialbakers. And that's why we also decided to hire Haluk, who's here in the front. He can stand up and you guys can find him. And so we're gonna continue by opening an office and putting more people on the ground, hopefully, with your support and help, obviously. You know, Haluk could be confused by my bodyguard, but he really has some, you know, but he's not. I'm sure he can do better push-ups than me. But we're not here for that. We're here for the data. So one quick thing on Socialbakers, you might have noticed, for those of you who use it, that we have this nice little feature of rating. Now, why do we have that there? We have that there because we want to collect more than information about fans and engagement. We want to collect information about how the people are actually satisfied with a particular brand, with the answer to the question of how likely would you be to recommend, say, Nike to your friends. And we've been collecting quite a lot of it, and I encourage you, if you share that, you'll actually get more information and rate on how people and your fans rate you. Of course, in Turkey, we've gone quite a long way. Since I presented here, it was 15 million active users. It's now over 35 million users now on Facebook, and that's really amazing, almost 35. But it's not only about getting those fans, because if you have those fans, you know, you might feel happy, but you have to engage with those fans. So we now say that there's a battle for the news feed, and you guys, when people become fans of your brand, you are competing with other brands that also have fans. Actually, you're competing with 57 other Facebook pages. This is exclusive data never released before on how many people how many people are fans of how many Facebook pages. So in Turkey, it's 57 pages. And a third of that are brands. So you're sharing your newsfeed with approximately 18 other Facebook fan pages, so of brand fan pages. So you have to send out pretty good content, right? So it's really becoming about creating and curating great content in the newsfeed. So these are some of the top brands in Turkey. There's more than 1,000 pages now, of course, with quite a significant amount of fans. But more importantly, what do they share? So mostly, as you can see on the chart above me on the right, you share photos, but you also share videos. And if you can see on the right side of this chart, you can see that photos are the most engaging content, followed by videos. but photos are by far the more frequent type of content being shared. So what does that tell us? Definitely create more videos in this case, because it's also really engaging. What was the most engaging content? And of course, you guys will get all that data, probably what Brati is working on publishing it right now. But some of these things by Toyota Allianz, really nice things, sort of a 300, battle of 300. Nokia publishing their phone in a fat boy. This nice little thing, I don't know what it says, but I'm sure it's pretty cool. And of course, people love alcohol. We just had prohibition in Czech Republic for like 7 weeks. People love it. Top Turkish interests. How is Turkey different from other people in the world? And one thing where you guys are really different is you guys are, as the Zynga guy said, much bigger gamers than everybody else. You're almost 50%, gaming 50% more than any other country in the world. And that's a lot, that's a very, very big difference. Of course, being a mobile, very heavy mobile market, you have a lot more feature phones than anybody else in the world. If we look at social media, it's about fans, it's about engagement, but also it's about talking to your fans. It's a dialogue. People in social media are really used to them talking to one-on-one. They have 130 friends on average that they talk to one-on-one. They also have brands that they're fans of. And if they want to talk to them, they want to talk to them one-on-one. If I write to a brand's page, I want them to respond. So we have this thing, sort of this standard called socially devoted. And you might have heard about it, you might have not, but we say that at least 65% of brands, of questions that people put on the brand's wall should be answered. Now in Turkey, for all questions asked, it's a 50% response rate, which is pretty good considering the sort of world standard right now, which is 30%. But Turkey has a record amount of closed Facebook pages for wall posts. So you guys close it rather than have to dealing with it. And that's a problem that, you know, in a company, you have to kind of face that. You have to do your customers in social media. And to announce some of the companies that really do it best in Turkey, it's Turkcell, Samsung, and Trendyol are the number 1, 2, 3 positions. Then Avea, and then something that I can't read, Milupa, Ane, and there's something else after that. But those are the companies that do social media customer care really, really well. And I think I would highlight one thing. I would highlight the Trendyol's response rate. They've answered 771 questions. That is only for September. But they've answered them in, on average, 20 minutes. On average, 20 minutes. That means in some cases, they might have responded in 5, 10 minutes, and in some cases, they might have taken over. But on average, the first touch was 20 minutes. And that's really, really good. It actually marks Trendyol as one of the top 10 brands in customer care in terms of speed efficiency in the world. So this is something that's really powerful. And you know, it doesn't only help your customers, but there's proof that actually being socially devoted, doing customer services in social media actually creates a higher ROI for you. What is the ideal structure of social media in a company? Companies keep coming to us and asking us, hey, you know, Jan, how do I set up my social media? Do I work with only one agency? Do I outsource everything? Do I build only a local team? It's always a combination of a great internal team and a good external set of partners. So of course you have to have, you know, a key, maybe a leading social media agency. Don't have 10 agencies. They won't have enough time or money or budget to focus on you. Have a key social media agency uniting your activities in social media. Consider who should manage your newsfeed. Is it the agency or is it you internally? The trend is that companies basically take their newsfeed management internally, that they send out the post, they do the customer service. But of course, in some areas like FMCG, if you're in the beer industry, you don't necessarily have to have an internal team. You can outsource that. But if you're in telecom, finance, some of the more services-like industries, you cannot possibly outsource this. And we've seen most of the companies around the world actually take that internally. But still, use a social media agency. Use a creative agency if that's not one thing at the same time. Of course, use a research agency or team. This might be a local company helping you read out or analyze your listening data. Put it into context. Make it so that it's powerful for you. And of course, use the tools that make sense. Of course, Socialbaker is one of the options, but you've got several options out there, from management tools to listening providers, local listening providers. Choose the right ones. Analyze if they've already done it for their brands, if they're not having 10 clients in their door. Analyze that they're actually solid in this area, that they have a high integrity of their data. That's something that's very important in a social media process. On Socialbakers, we run a lot of tools. We run our analytics, and we're happy to provide it now, I think, to close to 70 customers in Turkey only, out of the 1,000 we have globally. We've analyzed some Turkish data, and we've looked at all pages, all brands in Turkey, and looked at the average brand, which is the actually line that kind of continues. And then we've looked at brands that have started using analytics. And if they started using analytics, there was a 34% increase in their growth of their page. Very simply, they put more effort into it, they put more effort into their content, the content had a much higher quality. So if you're doing social, social is about content. Make sure that content is really, really high quality. In Socialbakers, we work with our customers, but we don't make all the features. You make the features. By suggesting to us what we should do next, we scale the feedback that we get from you, and we're trying to prioritize in the roadmap. Of course, we can't do everything you suggest, but we find patterns in what people suggest to us and basically apply it very quickly into the roadmap. That is essential for a company like us, driven and used by our customers, to basically evolve. Here's a screenshot of something that you don't have online yet, but will be online, where we basically take scoring and benchmarking and comparisons very seriously. But not many people understand, am I better in engagement? Am I better in customer service? Am I better in activity? Am I better in posts? So for us, it was really important to create a visualization where you could say that in one simple slide. Am I better in these different areas? So you can see on the top, am I better in fans? Am I better in activity? Am I better in engagement or doing my social customer service, being socially devoted? And you don't only compare it to everybody else in the business, because that's only one way of comparing things. But comparing it with your industry, comparing it with your country, and comparing it with, of course, your country and your industry at the same time, makes for a much better social media presence. If you know you're doing things better, it's, of course, sort of a leading factor. And if you know you're decreasing in an area, you need to know why. So if you're sending content out to your fans and to your followers, you need to know if it works. And of course, don't just take, the most viral content you can find around. Don't just make pictures of dogs and cats and send it all out to your fans. That's not going to work. You have to create content that actually drives business for your brand, but at the same time is viral. That's a very challenging thing to do, but you can look at some of the world-class leaders compared to what they're doing, and some of them are doing it very, very well. One other thing we've launched recently is the Builder. I've always been kind of fed up with some of these social management tools, because if you published via some certain tool I won't be naming, but you published a tweet and a Facebook post at the same time, but it kind of always looked like a tweet. But you can't really publish it. You can't really give it to your team, assign it properly. So we built an enterprise-grade management platform for social media that can be really used nicely in your team, in a team structure, and can be used, most importantly, real time. You see your competition flow of posts coming in, you see what you're doing, you see what your team is doing, you see where your team is leaking at the same time. So that's something to use. And even though I had a lot of data, get back to it, I've actually managed to flow through the presentation quite quickly. So just to sum up and recommend some things, you're fighting with 57 other pages on average with a person. 57 other pages. And they are not all of them displaying. Mostly if you look at your Facebook newsfeed, it's consistent out of friends, right? It's consistent mostly out of your friends, and maybe 3, 4, 5 pages. So out of the 57 pages, only a couple pages will get airtime at a single time. So don't publish at the same time as a competitor that you know has a good fan overlap. Because if you do, you're not going to be visible in the newsfeed, especially if he has better engagement. Stand out by creating really good content. I mean, you're not alone there. Watch what works for others. Local companies, global companies. I mean, this is really, really important. I recently wrote on a Facebook wall of a mobile operator in Czech Republic saying, hey, I'm a really mad customer because you guys have, ripped me off. I've canceled the service like 7 times, but you still haven't do that. And really, really pisses me off. That single post had over 500 likes and was the most engaging post that page has ever published. And it hasn't published it. I've published it. So do your customer care. And this page apparently had customer care from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And I posted it after 8, not intentionally. That's the time I had time to do it. But before the morning came and before they started to actually manage it officially, it had over 400 likes. The discussion was going where the brand didn't want it to be going. It was going viral. It was going viral on Twitter. There were bloggers writing about it already in the morning. The brand could have stopped that. Now, probably 40, 50, 60,000 people already saw that post because of the engagement and the reach. So if that would happen to a mobile operator in Turkey, Turkcell or Vodafone, how many people would see that? 300, 400, 500,000? What would be the damage of that single post being created? And is it worth it? That's the question. Not doing social customer care, is it worth it? And of course you can argue, well, we'll just close our walls and we'll not have them post it. Well, worse things will happen. They'll put it on their personal page. They'll create an image. And that will go viral without your control. So it's much better to be open, to have an open wall, than to not have an open wall at all. And of course, if you're interested more about engagement and these things, we're doing a nice little event. We've invited Arda over and a couple other people. So it's our first event, really childbirth event. So wish us luck on it. It's October 23rd. We're going to be live streaming it. We're probably going to rent out a cinema here in Istanbul with some beers because here the time change is going to start at 5 p.m. So definitely watch that. And don't be afraid. Get in touch with us. Come and talk to us. We're going to help you with whatever we can. We're going to advise you. We're going to lead you through the process. And we're here for that. Don't be worried if there's a line. Please wait. I want to talk to everyone that wants to talk to us. And so I believe everybody wants to get home now. So thank you very much.